Chris Sewall here, baseball card collector, investor, dealer in that order. Welcome everyone to this week's regular rollers. Got an interesting group of submissions this week, including a bunch of nice oddball stuff. So let's go ahead and get rolling. First one sent in by Grant, who wrote, I just ran across this completed sale and it looks like we all missed out. 1986 Fleer basketball, complete set with stickers, including a BGS 4 Jordan and an ungraded sticker. Set has 5 other cards graded 7s and 8s, so the seller did not show a picture of the actual set, but regardless, just the Michael Jordan alone is worth more than the $1,200 complete sale price. Has the set gone down in value this much, or is it a complete steal? Yeah, so this appears to have just been a mistake by the seller. $1,200 is, wildly too low. Like you said, the Jordan alone is worth, way more than that. You got other big money cards in here as well. And clearly it was a mistake because the same seller relisted the same exact set shortly after for $12,000. Same sort of price, I guess, the first time they just left out one of the 9s. So $1,200 up to $12,000. $12,000 is way too high for this set, actually, but I guess closer to reasonable than $1,200. Next one sent in by Graham, who wrote, I recently picked up a few of these 2004 Michael Phelps cards from a brand called Rookie Review, not to be confused with Upper Deck Rookie Review being produced around the same era. Upon further research, I can't find hardly anything about this brand or these cards. RookieReview.com is a dead website, and PSA has never graded a copy of these cards as far as I can tell. I really don't know what to make of these. 2004 is Phelps' first appearance on a Sports Illustrated for Kids card, and these have perforated edges like the Sports Illustrated for Kids. Just wondering if I blew $20 on 4 cards someone made in their garage, or if there's any value here. So I actually don't know much about this brand, although I had a bunch of these cards, not the Michael Phelps, but I had a bunch of major stars, mainly like non-sports entertainers and stuff. And I learned that PSA does not grade them, SGC does not grade them, Beckett does not grade them, and COMC, which is a site I use heavily to sell raw cards, does not accept them. So I would say these are essentially, cards that were made in somebody's garage for all intents and purposes. This was sent in by Matt, who wrote, I've had the opportunity to add a few Albert Pujols rookies to my collection over the years. I happened upon this lot recently and jumped at the chance to enter a last-minute bid. The alert of this listing for me is a card in the top right-hand corner. It's a 2001 Fleer Tradition, which is a rookie card. It sells for about $50 to $70, but to be honest, I like the idea of just adding some early year base cards of a player I didn't have the chance to collect at the time. The seller never pointed out that there was a rookie in the lot, and the description wasn't that good, so I was able to scoop this lot up for a total of $40. That's less than the market price of the 2001 card alone, plus a little extra early 2000s goodness as a bonus. I just received the cards today, and everything looks great. There were 27 cards in total, including the rookie and 16 second-year cards. Yeah, nice bargain pickup here for sure. That's a great price, and yeah, that's one that would be very easy to miss. Yeah, the card in the upper right, not the exact upper right, but one to the left of the upper right, the vertical card is a 2001 Fleer rookie. So, congrats on that pickup for that price. This was sent in by Guy, who wrote, this is a 2020 Leaf political set. I reached out to the person selling it and told them my situation, and they offered to let me pay half this month and half next month when my disability check comes in. The people in this lot, we're talking about a bunch of people that can pretty much blow their nose in a funny way, and they will get pressed. They will be famous forever, especially Trump and Obama, but I think those are some of my best investments in recent years, especially when you look at the numbering and everything involved. Yeah, really interesting. I was not familiar with this set. 2020 Leaf Metal American Politics Rainbow Orange. It's a 10-card set. Every card's numbered out of 5, which is pretty impressive. And yeah, like you said, I mean, a bunch of these names will be significant historically for, forever, or for at least my lifetime for sure. And, I've mentioned political cards and entertainment cards have really grown in popularity a lot over the last few years. And here's an example of it. Next one was sent in by Tom, who wrote, I was really excited to win this auction. I was a big Roy Halladay fan growing up and quickly became a collector when I got back into the hobby. I was drawn towards big, flashy cards at first, but I've found that I now have an affinity towards cards that are the rare or unusual for reasons beyond just being a shiny finish or an autograph. Topps inserted 100 MVP promotion cards of each player into packs in 1999 and the 2000 flagship sets, and if your player was a player of the week, you could redeem your card for a special set. This means that the cards are very, very scarce for the era, and it can be almost impossible to track down cards of specific players. I'm drawn to this insert because it was designed to be disposable. Think of how many must be sitting around gathering dust in boxes or commons, or how many were just plain thrown out. Anyway, I just wanted to share this and wanted to say thanks for the great content. Yeah, love that nice collector story. Really cool. This one was sent in by Wark, who wrote, quick note, if this is used in a video, Oakland A's fans may want to avert their eyes because I've recently bought a Ricky Henderson auto card but this one has its own uniqueness as he is in a Seattle Mariners uniform, and he was only on the team for 1 season. He is, of course, not known as a Mariner and was out of his prime by then, but at least in my eyes as a Mariners fan, this is a super cool card. And as I stated earlier, Oakland A's fans would be horrified to see this and think it may deserve a visit to the run over by a truck division or burned by a fire division, which just brings up an interesting idea you could do for a video. Athletes from their most recognized teams in their career versus end of the career 1 season stint cards. Plenty of sports legends who fit this description. Yeah, Ricky Henderson's well, I actually know this from a recent trivia I did with my friend. He actually played on 9 different teams. Mostly played most of his career with the A's, a few solid years in his prime with the Yankees, and then at the end of his career was just bouncing around to a whole bunch of different teams. He actually played on 5 different teams in under 100 games each. So 9 different teams in total. Yeah, the Mariners here being one of them. And I mean, I wonder if he even has cards in all 9 uniforms. That would be sort of an interesting one if any collector out there wants to take on that challenge. This was sent in by Eli, who wrote, I just won an eBay auction for $30 all in for a 2019 Sports Illustrated for Kids Daniil Medvedev card in a PSA 6. This is his first ever card. He only has 2, the second one being a 2021 Sports Illustrated for Kids. And there are only 2 PSA graded copies of this card. Both of them are 6s. As far as I can tell from the pop reports, there are no copies graded by SGC or BGS, and only 1 graded copy by CSG, which was a 7. Medvedev has won a major and may not be a hot prospect like Carlos Alcaraz, but he's only 26 and is likely to have chances to win some more titles as Nadal and Djokovic continue to age. Yeah, I've kind of gotten into this stuff lately in the last couple of years, as just a lot of players in other sports have very, very, very few cards, and I don't really follow tennis much, so I couldn't tell you how good Medvedev is or how good he may end up being. But if he's a star in the sport, a solid star in the sport, and he's only got 2 cards, and only 3 of them have been graded. This is his first one. I mean, the specs there are great. And, kind of cool to just chase down some of these other star athletes who don't have many cards. And there's also upside. I mean, Sports Illustrated for Kids, Usain Bolt and Michael Phelps and, some of the other, Serena Williams, some of the other ones. These were just $1 a few years ago, and now they're big bucks. I'm not saying that's going to happen here, but there is, that sort of upside for it. This was in by Eric, who wrote, I'm slowly putting together a 1960 top set, picking them up here and there when I find a bargain. Unfortunately, I missed out on these. I'm not worried about condition much, so I was sick when I saw this deal. Very cool that you're putting that set together. That's a really nice set. But yeah, whoever got this got a total bargain. This is a 2-card lot of 1960 Topps All-Stars. You got Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris. And these are both in the high number series, so they're rarer than other cards from the set. And $33, yeah, I mean, the Mantle looks to be in pretty low grade, fairly rounded corners, maybe even some creasing. I can't quite tell, but even in low grade, I mean, a PSA 1 copy of the Mantle sells for about $100, so $33 here, yeah, was a great deal for the buyer. This was sent in by Matt, who wrote, first I want to take a gentle issue with something you said on your most recent regular rollers, which I love, by the way. In reference to J.D. Drew, you said Drew didn't pan out. You're not wrong in a sense. He didn't become a certain Hall of Famer like some predicted, but he had more than a solid career, and I think you can make an argument he's quite an underrated player. He finished his career with 45 WAR. That's more than Don Mattingly, Dale Murphy, and Albert Bell, all who are on the most recent Hall of Fame committee ballot. Despite his numbers, I don't expect anyone to put Drew in the Hall of Fame, nor should they, but I don't think it's accurate to say J.D. Drew didn't pan out, just my 2 cents. As for this item, after watching some openings on YouTube, I really wanted a first-off-the-line Panini Prizm baseball, and I decided to buy a box. But then I saw Julio Rodriguez Red Shimmer parallel out of 7 was up for auction on eBay. I decided if I could get that card, the card I really wanted in the first place for the cost of the box or better, I'd do that. I bid on it and got it for about $250 all in. Almost the exact same price as a first-off-the-line Prizm box. It's a beautiful card, and I'm so happy I spent my money that way instead of buying the box, which, sure, it would have been fun to open, but very likely would have yielded nothing as nice in return. So first off, regarding J.D. Drew and his 45 career WAR, yeah, I mean, you basically cannot be considered a bust if you have a career WAR of 45, no matter how big a prospect you were. I didn't realize his WAR was that much, so yeah, my apologies to Mr. Drew, and I yield to your case. Although it actually sort of emphasizes a point I make on the channel quite a lot, which is prospects, they can't just be very, very good like J.D. Drew. They got to be much, much better than that. If they end up just being, very, very good, J.D. Drew level, their card prices will still collapse long term. And regarding the Julio Rodriguez, I love what you did here. I've said it many times. Opening packs can be extremely fun. Opening boxes extremely fun. But it's a terrible return on your investment if that's what you're going for. Much better to just buy the singles you want. You will come out ahead doing it that way 9 times out of 10. And I think here's a great example. You know, the odds of you pulling this card, or, you know, a number of cards that are of equal value or importance to you as this card in a single box is very, very slim. This one was sent in by Jim, who wrote, oftentimes when I'm bored, type into eBay graded cards and look for deals on cards. I found this SGC 6 1966. I'm gonna mispronounce basically all these words. Liebig, Stoccolma, Re Gustavo, Campionati Mondiali di Calcio. Probably mispronounced 5 out of those 6 words. I purchased this card for what I believe to be a very good price. So I don't actually recognize this card, but it's a Pele card from 1966. It's sort of like mid-career for him. And yeah, strong grade, SGC, X-Mint 6. Definitely a good, well, I mean, again, I don't recognize this card, but I would be very surprised if this was not a good price. Under 40 bucks, let's say $45 all in for a mid to high grade Pele card during his playing days. That alone is going to be considered a good buy from my viewpoint. This one was sent in by Scott, who wrote, I just got this Cade Cunningham tonight for $5.75. I went to Oklahoma State, and I'm a huge Cade fan. I actually sat right behind him in a game when he was visiting the Monteverde Academy in high school at OSU, and he was a very cool guy. He was having another great year so far for the Pistons, averaging 22.6 rebounds, 6 assists. This is for my PC, as most of his PSA 10s go for big money and are out of my budget. It's not a huge value, but probably $50 card or so based on some other draft Prizm comps. The seller didn't list PSA 10 or low pop, so I presume that's why I was able to get it so cheap. Very cool. I love hearing when people collect somebody because they met them or they know them somehow. I don't know. That always seems cool to me for some reason. And we'll finish on a vintage bargain. This was sent in by Brendan, who wrote, I mainly collect pre-war hockey and baseball, but had to make an exception this week for one of the greatest NFL players of all time. I picked up this 1938 Bronco Nagurski Dixie Lids Premium. For what I understand, these premiums were required by sending in 12 Dixie Cup lids to the company, and they would send back one premium, which came with the factory hole punches, so kids could insert them into their albums. I rarely buy raw, but the seller had 100% feedback and was selling a whole set, which he claimed came from the original owner's son. So when I saw this listed for $200, I made an offer immediately of $150, 30 minutes into the listing being posted. After receiving the cards, I had no doubt about its authenticity and great eye appeal. Bronco only has 2 standard rectangular cards from his playing days. This and his famous 1935 National Chico card, which is a starting price of close to $10K. A PSA 7 just sold for $100K. Love the description on the back of the card, which calls Nagurski the Babe Ruth of the professional gridiron. The card has only been graded once by PSA and once by SGC, so now my decision is where to get this graded so it can stay in the PC for decades. Wow, that is very cool. I was not familiar with this card, and yeah, clearly you got a great vintage bargain here. But that's it. Thank you, everyone, for watching this week's Regular Rollers. Thank you, everyone, for all the submissions. Keep them coming, and may the force be with you. Thanks, everyone.